Today, we're diving into the life of someone who feels almost mythical, a saint who lived for over 140 years. We're going to uncover how his absolutely radical humility, his intense devotion, and one single history-changing discovery made him this crucial link between the past and the future. Okay, let's just jump right into the most mind-blowing fact. The first thing you need to know about Srila Jagannatha Dasa Babaji is his age. We're talking about a lifespan of over 140 years. Just imagine that for a second. A life that starts back in the 1770s and doesn't end until 1895. And that's not just a long life, right? That's a bridge across entire historical eras. And it really sets the stage for a truly extraordinary story. All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get to know this incredible 140-year-old saint. Then, we're going to move from the facts to his character, exploring some really powerful stories of his humility. From there, we'll boil down his 4 core teachings before we get to the absolute climax of his life, the great discovery that defined his legacy, a legacy we'll look at in our final section. So, who was this man? Well, he was born around 1776, and he became this deeply revered ascetic. He was so respected, in fact, that the great scholar Bhakti-Vinod Thakur called him the Vaishnava Sarvabhauma, which basically means the commander-in-chief of the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Vishnu. He was like the leading spiritual authority of his time, no question. So what you're seeing here is just the sheer intensity of his devotion. I mean, he would split his year between 2 of India's holiest places, and his asceticism was absolutely legendary. Just think about his yearly 4-month fast. For 1 month, he ate only bananas. The next, only guavas. Then only whey. And for the last month, just boiled banana flowers. But here's the real kicker. Even when he was over 100 years old, physically bent in half, when the kirtan, the chanting started, he would leap into the air and dance with the energy of a young man. It's just amazing. But you know, facts and descriptions only get you so far with someone like this. To really understand him, you have to hear the stories. And they reveal a level of humility that is honestly almost hard to wrap your head around. Okay, so let's start with this one. I want you to picture the most respected spiritual leader of the entire region, approaching a street sweeper, someone who in the rigid social structure of the time was considered at the very bottom, and he's begging him for a piece of bread. This would have been absolutely shocking, a complete and total defiance of all social norms. So you gotta ask, right? Why would he do that? Was it just an act, or was there something deeper going on? Well, his answer to the town leaders who questioned him, it tells you everything you need to know. And his answer, wow, it just perfectly shows you where his head was at. For him, a person's purity had nothing to do with their social rank. It was all about their connection to the divine. He saw that street sweeper who was constantly touching the sacred dust of the Holy Land as being more pure than anyone. He literally saw God where everyone else just saw social status. And this idea, this way of seeing the divine in everything, it wasn't a one-off thing. There's another famous story about a dog that gave birth to puppies right near his hut. He got so fond of them that he literally would not eat his own meal unless the puppies came and ate right there with him from his own plate. So when his servant tried to shoo them away, he was like, nope, stop. And here's the key thing. For him, these weren't just some random puppies. He called them puppies of the Dhamma, the Holy Land. He saw them as special, elevated souls who deserved respect and service simply because of where they were born. This was humility in its most radical, beautiful form. So his actions obviously speak for themselves, right? But he also left behind some really clear, direct teachings. Let's take a look at the 4 core instructions he gave to his disciples. And his advice was super direct, super practical. Number 1, avoid people and situations that are just going to distract you. Number 2, chant Harinama, the holy names, every single day without fail. Number 3, always remember that Lord Gora, that's another name for Lord Chaitanya, is incredibly merciful. And finally, number 4, give praise to the spiritual incarnation, the avatar who appears in our current age. Simple, powerful stuff. And he had this really strong warning against something called Markata Vairagya, or monkey renunciation. And this is such a great analogy, right? A monkey might live in the forest, it doesn't own anything, it wears no clothes, it looks like a renunciate, but really, its mind is just completely obsessed with finding food and enjoying itself. He taught that real renunciation happens on the inside. It's not just putting on an external show to try and fool people. Okay, so now we get to the big one, the culminating event of his incredible life. This is the story of how his pure spiritual vision helped uncover one of the most important holy sites in his entire tradition, a site that had been lost for centuries. So you have to picture this. It's the late 1800s, and the exact spot where the revered saint Lord Chaitanya had appeared centuries before, well, it was lost. Nobody knew where it was. The Ganges River had changed course, and time had just buried it. And the scholar Bhakti-yoga Thakur made it his personal mission to find that spot. And Bhakti-yoga Thakur was like a spiritual detective about it. He actually got his government job transferred so he could be near the area he suspected. Then one night, he has this incredible vision of a glowing building. That vision sent him digging into all these ancient maps and old texts, and all the clues started pointing to one specific place, a place called Sri Mayapur. But look, for a discovery this huge, you can't just rely on old maps and visions. It's not enough. He needed spiritual confirmation. He needed the ultimate seal of approval from the one person whose spiritual insight was totally beyond question, Srila Jagannatha Dasa Babaji. So get this scene in your head. The Babaji is now over 140 years old. He's blind, his body is so bent he can't stand up straight, and he's so frail he can't walk at all. His servant, Bihari, literally had to carry him everywhere on his shoulders in a big wicker basket. And it's in this state that he's brought to the site Bhakti-yoga Thakur thinks he's found. And what happens next? It's just unbelievable. Remember, this is a man who couldn't even walk. But the second they arrive at that spot, he is completely overcome with this ecstatic energy. He leaps out of the basket, his bent old body straightens up, and he starts dancing, crying out, "This is it. This is the birthplace of Lord Nimai." That was it. That was the undeniable ultimate confirmation. And that one moment, that single ecstatic leap from the basket, it cemented his legacy forever and had an impact that is still felt to this very day. So when we talk about his legacy, it really hits on three huge points. First, he spiritually confirmed the location of a sacred site that had been lost to history. Second, he was the instructing guru to Bhakti-yoga Thakur, who's one of the most important figures in modern Vaishnavism. And by doing all that, he became this absolutely essential link connecting the past to the present. I mean, his contribution was so important that a verse was written just for him, and it's still recited today. It immortalizes him as the one respected by the entire Vaishnava community, and, most importantly, as the one who discovered the place where Lord Chaitanya appeared. And that really leaves us with this one last thought to chew on. The story of Srila Jagannatha Dasa Babaji, especially that final, incredible leap from his basket, it just makes you wonder. What does it mean to have a spiritual conviction that is so powerful, a faith so certain that it can just leap beyond the physical limits of a 140-year-old body? It really makes you think, doesn't it, about the power of the spirit over the body and the unbelievable strength of pure devotion.